Welcome to the Are You Mad at Me podcast. I'm Josh Morgan.
And I'm Vickie Morgan.
What's this? What's this, episode 19 or something?
This is 19 or something. Yeah. It's pretty great. And you know how I'm confident about that?
How's that?
Because I did the show notes for...
All the show notes are done.
Episode 18 I just posted a couple of days ago. So all caught up, ready to roll.
Woohoo.
Not too bad. 19 episodes in. We're finally got it down to a science, I think.
That's exciting.
So what do we do now?
I think we could just stop doing the podcast now.
Well, that seems silly to...
No, we're done.
It seems silly to find your groove and then give it up. So I don't know. There's got to be like a next level now. So when you get going, what's next?
I think we start making merch and selling T-shirts and hats for the Are You Mad at Me podcast. And
do you hear that ringing?
Ringing?
Yeah.
Is it my computer fan?
No, it's going. It's a tone like
it's my computer fan.
I've never heard it before.
Well, it's there.
That's annoying. Okay, all right. I might need some headphones just to block that out. I've never heard that before. Yeah. That's funny. Maybe your computer's about to crap out.
Yeah, I think it's time for a new one.
Should we do a GoFundMe for...
There's our next step. A GoFundMe for a new production computer for the Are You Mad at Me podcast.
What did I see the other day? Somebody set out to raise enough money to... Not raise enough money. They started a side project, and their goal was to get a new computer from it. And they reached the goal, and they had gone far beyond that. I don't remember who that was, but anyway. So maybe that's your goal for what's this? April.
It's April now. Now, when this is released, it'll be April. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a little weird. It's April already.
Well, we're into month 7 of winter in Newfoundland, so hopefully that'll frig off soon.
So for those of you that aren't watching and can't tell, we're back in the basement.
At the NPR studio.
It was too difficult to ask the boys to leave the living room.
It was getting expensive.
We had to pay them to leave the living room every week.
Well, we were interrupting what they were doing to do that, so we went with the path of what's the easier went with the path of least resistance. It was easier to just come down here.
Then make them stop talking to their friends and playing video games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, and now you can put all that money you're making towards the computer instead of paying the kids to.
That's true. Wonder what the dogs are barking at. That's annoying.
Could be anything. So what do we got this week? How was your week?
It was good. It snowed a couple days.
Yeah.
That was weird. It was like, hey, it's spring. It's warming up, and snow's all melted. And then we had 2 full days of snow. Did we talk about beating at the shed already? No.
So I got up the other morning and the backyard looked very different, and usually we like micromanage everything that goes on, and it's like, hey, we're going to do this thing now because we're in the house, we're together all the time, so there's not much that goes on that we're not like letting each other know each step of the day what we're doing.
Right.
So to walk into the backyard, and it was like, oh, wait a second, why is there a big pile of brown dirt on our back lawn where the shed used to be? So anyway, tell us what happened.
So we built a shed during COVID. 2020, we built a shed because we built a lot of stuff. I
call it the divorce shed.
We built
because it was the first thing we made.
Yeah, that was the first one. But then we ended up building a picnic table and a greenhouse and beds.
Yeah. Well, we tried to do it without any kind of plans, which is a bad idea.
Just wing it.
Because we don't know how to do those things. We do now. We could probably wing it now. But at the time, we had never built anything. And it was brutal.
So this is a 5-year-old shed now, and it was just for our bikes, just to keep our bikes secure and keep them from getting stolen and
getting rained on
and snowed on and all that stuff. So like every year, as time degraded the wood on this shed that was just particle board, the rats would get in during the winter, or wasps would get in during the summer. Like so every spring, I'm like, vermin. We gotta get the thing open. Get all the bikes out, clean all the rat mess out of there, and so Henry had a friend over, and they decided they were going to ride bikes. So Henry got the shed open, and I didn't know that this was happening until I looked out the door and saw Henry holding one of the doors to the shed
that are not detachable,
completely pulled off because the hinge and the wood was all rotten. So I went out there to help him, and they got their bikes, and then Peter and I just started. We figured that this thing is so wet and moldy and full of rat poop, and so we just started destroying it.
Spring.
And we just knocked it over and smashed it. We had a ball. We just smashed it and got it down into little tiny pieces that we could put in a pile and make for firewood or just throwing away or whatever we're gonna do with it. So yeah, we got rid of the shed in the backyard, and then we had to figure out what to do with the bikes because they don't fit in the house anymore because our basement's full of studio stuff. And
well, I didn't know any of that had happened. So when I walk out and the shed is gone, the boys were like, yeah, "Isn't this great?" And I'm like, "What happened?" It looked like, when like a tornado passes through, like on a superstore, and there's just like this line of devastation, and it was just like, what? There was nothing there, nothing. And you were like, "Isn't this awesome?" Anyway.
To be fair, it wasn't really a shed so much as like a wooden container. Like, those containers that come on ships, like the rectangular cubes.
Yeah,
it was like one of those, but made out of wood. It had no like slanted roof or like barn doors. It was just like rudimentary, like square.
What was the stuff we put on top of it? It was like a roof tape or something.
When we made it, we didn't have a trailer, so we couldn't bring back 4x8 sheets of particle board. So we had them cut the particle board into either 4x4 sheets or 2x4 sheets. So on top of the shed, we had 4 2x4 sheets laid next to each other and attached to the shed, and then we had roofing tape.
Oh, that's
going
right.
Across the,
that's right. Yeah, just
across
to
the
connect
seams
them.
to keep them, just to keep the water out and stuff.
So there
which
was
it did a great job.
So there was a whole bunch of wood that had nothing. There was no nothing waterproof or anything like that. It was just the strips in between the.
Yeah, and that particle
boards.
board, that stuff lasts a couple of years, and then it's just it just gets waterlogged and soaked and just expands and just dissolves.
It hung in there though. It did. It really hung
5 years is pretty good. So now we have.
You know what I'm realizing as you're saying that? When we were building that shed, we had a different dog at the time, and we took a couple of pictures out in the backyard while we were building that shed, like in the frame of it. And when we put the first set of like the first round of walls or whatever, we took pictures with Harley.
Yeah, she went and laid inside.
And she died like the next day, 2 days later, because when we were putting the finishing touches on it, this little bird came and landed on my shoulder. So we had.
I guess it was while we were.
She had died, and we had her cremated, and we had done the whole thing. But it was like the day after or the next day. I think we were waiting for the cremains to be returned to us, and this little bird landed on my shoulder, like long enough for me to go, "Oh my God, there's a bird on my shoulder." It was wild.
Because we were spending the whole summer outside.
It was wild. But yeah, that's. I just realized that's how long that shed.
Yeah,
it was like June. Beagle. I think it was around June of 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, something like that. Summertime 2020.
Yeah.
So yeah, now we got all of our bikes. So that day we ordered a tarp and some bungee cords, and we put all the bikes in our open trailer and covered it up with a tarp, and that's our temporary shed until we figure out.
Well, you can have people come to your yard and build a shed, and it's a couple $1,000s. So
yeah, it's not cheap.
$20 for a tarp versus $2,000. I mean,
Yeah.
You know what else is funny is over the past 5 years, how many times we've replaced those bikes because the boys have outgrown what they had. We started off with little bikes 5 years ago. So that's kind of funny. And so when they took the bikes out, they're too small for the boys anyway. So we got a couple of extra bikes if anybody needs.
Yeah. And when we were living in Standish, we bought one of those balance bikes that doesn't have pedals. It's just so the toddlers can learn how to ride a bike, basically balance on a bike. Mm-hmm. And we still have that in the backyard. Peter will not let me get rid of that thing. He's like, every summer, every year, I'm like cleaning out the backyard, throwing away old, water guns and junk that's in the backyard and stuff, and like starting over. And I'm like, buddy, what about this bike? And he's like, nope, I'm not ready. I asked him last week when we were cleaning out the backyard and we were getting rid of the shed. It's like, all right, what about this bike? He's like, no.
I have a doll upstairs that I've had since I was 2. And it is hideous. I mean, I hope it can't hear me, but that doll has been torn 10 ways from Sunday. It's like the mouth is like, so it had, back in 79, I think it was called...
Darling?
No, that's what I call it. It was like Baby Love and Touch or something like that. So it had this super soft cloth body, and the hands were like, one of them was kind of pointed like this, and the other one was a little fist, and it was like this hard rubber on the hands, but the face was this squishy little baby face and had a bit of hair, and it had like the bum for some reason was made of the same material as the face. So like
the face and the bum were rubber.
They were rubber, like soft rubber, and so the hands were like still kind of soft, but they were formed, and then the body was just this soft cloth. And I took that doll with me. So if we were driving away, this might be diagnosing me with something. I don't know, maybe times have changed, but I'm sure if someone told you this story now, it'd be like, oh, you had blah, blah, blah. But if we were driving away, if we were going to...
If you were leaving your house.
A movie, or if we were going to see a thing, or some event was happening, or just a drive, whatever, I would have like I would feel, I don't know, if I felt like the doll was missing it, I had to have the doll with me so that she was experiencing everything along with me. And so there were times where if she happened to get left home, I would have a melt. Like I wouldn't have like a tantrum where they turn around and come back, because that didn't happen in my house. We didn't. There was no such thing as a tantrum in the house where you'd drive, or in the car where you'd turn around and go back and get the thing. There was never any cooperation or acquiescence or what's the word? What would you call it?
No allowed emotions.
Well, no, I just know that now, like most parents now would turn the car around and you wouldn't want your child to be that distraught, so you'd turn around and go back. But that's just not how it was done in the 70s and 80s. It was just like, shut up and whatever. And if you threw a tantrum, you're getting smacked. There's no question about it. So I just rode with that and just was miserable for the whole time, because I felt like the doll. Anyway, I still have that doll. So that doll has just to give you an idea, I got it when I was maybe 2 or 3. Like I remember cutting it out of the box. I remember like waiting for Mom to cut this little hard plastic things that kept it inside the box, and but I was still teething. So there were bite marks in the face and the bum on the doll, on the forehead and on the bum, because it was cold. Like the rubber would be cold when I was sleeping with the doll, and it would like relieve pressure when I was getting new teeth. So there was bite marks in it. And so that doll is now 45 years old. So that's kind of, but I mean, it's been glued back together. It's like that doll has been through the ringer.
And we bought you another one.
2 extras, yeah.
15 years ago or something.
When
right?
we first met, we went on, I think, Etsy or eBay or something like that, and found like still in the box dolls, but it's not the same.
It wasn't the same one.
Like we could get Peter a grown-up size balance bike now, and it would probably be he probably wouldn't want it.
That would be funny. Do you think they make grown-up size balance bikes?
Well, if you're an adult and you don't, so these are really highly recommended for kids learning how to ride a bike. And we also used a skate walker. They were all like, so back when I was learning how to skate, you just fell down a lot. But we saw these like basically like a little frame that the kids can put on the ice, and they can like touch something while they're skating. And both of our boys used it to.
Yep.
We didn't buy one. We made one out of PVC pipe.
Yeah, and they both used it.
They both used it, and sometimes it would just come apart while they were skating, and they'd skate back with pieces and go, "Mom, this came apart." And so obviously they could skate they can both skate really well now. But those things were like unheard of. And a balance bike, a little small plastic bike, and I mean it is tiny, like it's. And
it doesn't have any pedals on it.
There's no pedals, so you can't go very fast unless they're going down over a hill and they can kind of put their feet up. But they learn to balance without the mechanism of the pedals. But he learned super fast on that bike. Yeah. Loved it, and he'd whip around on that long after he was too big for it. And anyway,
there's also I don't know if you know this, but under the porch there's a big wheel out there.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And there's no possible way that either of those kids can ride on that. And I said to Peter the other day, like, what about the big wheel? Can we get rid of that? And he's like, well, that's Henry's. You got to ask Henry about that. So we might be carrying those. We might be giving those to our grandkids. So we do spring
cleaning every year, and it's kind of funny the stuff that sticks around. And if you touch Darling, I will kill you. No question. So Darling is what I called her because, I don't know, that was just what it certainly wasn't a word anybody was using back in those days, but I called her Darling. And anyway. She's pretty sweet.
So we got some snow this week.
We got some snow this week.
We went out and did a video shoot in the snow.
We did, yeah. Josh did we had the drone out for a little while and went out and did a little promo for a song that we are in process of, I guess we should probably get going on that.
We've been playing it for a while. You wrote it, 4 years ago or something?
At least.
Something like that?
Yeah. We actually shot most of a video for it 4 or 5 years ago. And I'm going to be with you in just a minute. I'm a little tiny bit distracted because I want to finish this. If I don't, who knows when it'll ever get done. The sweater I was making on the last podcast episode, I did finish, and so I'm just putting the... I hate that part. Like, I would rather have somebody that I could hire to do the... I have 2 more going. And Josh is like, why don't you just finish this one before you start another one? Like, that doesn't work for me. But anyway, so I'm just putting the... tying in all the little loose ends, and I'm almost done. So as soon as I'm done with this in just a couple of moments, I will be fully here. And so why don't you talk amongst yourselves?
So we went out in the woods, in the snowy woods yesterday, because we thought, what a great example of springtime in Newfoundland, that it's, there's 2 inches of snow on the ground. The trees are all covered in snow. It was kind of warm for winter, so it was one of those heavy snows that just sticks and stays it was just really thick. And so anyway, we went out and did a video shoot and shot a promo for that song that we're definitely going to record one of these days. We've been playing it live for a few years, and it's fun.
Yep.
And we played it on George Street. It's an anti-tourism song. We played it on George Street to a bunch of tourists for the past 2 years.
3.
3 years, yeah.
Yep.
So that's always fun.
Yep.
I remember at the end of the last one you said, except for you guys are great. To all the tourists that we were playing in front
They
of.
loved it.
Yeah.
That's the funniest thing.
I did apply to play again on George Street Summer Series this year. We'll see if that happens.
Well, I like playing down there. That's probably my favorite.
It's a fun stage to play on.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And you can pretend that it's the George Street Festival.
Yeah. Well, I think at least one year we've played the same week of the George Street Festival. Like, we played on a Tuesday, and then Wednesday the George Street Festival started. So I added the George Street Festival poster. I added us to it on the beginning. So it was like Tuesday, there's us, and then Wednesday, the George Street Festival. Anyway.
I do believe that the people who were playing the next night after us was Mr. Alan Doyle
Yeah,
from
it was
Teddy
us
Harbor.
and then Alan Doyle. So
yeah, so technically on that poster, it was the lineup was, it's a whole week of concerts. If you don't know about the George Street Festival, it's like the most bars per capita in all of North America or something like that. And so the George Street Festival, basically the whole street shuts down and they have this huge main stage, and it's just the biggest names playing, and you can go down and you can go to all the bars. You pay a fee to get on the street, and then you can get into all the bars. But the summer concert series was a little more of a touristy kind of
weekly
supporting local talent kind of thing. And so we were part of the summer concert series 3 years running.
3 years, yeah.
It's been really great. I love that. So yeah, we have played it for tourists, and that's pretty fun. They seem to like it. They usually have a sense of humor. People that are coming here usually to visit have a good sense of humor. And it's not really about tourists. It's not that I don't like tourists. It's more
how we act towards tourists compared to how we act towards each other.
Bingo. It's the second part. It's like how we are all year long. And then it's like, okay, everybody act nice now because the tourists are coming. And it's like, why aren't you guys like this all year long? To the people who live here, and anyway, it's a whole industry. Like I know there was a place, Old Orchard Beach was a lot like that. It was a big tourist town, and like the population used to quadruple or something during tourist season. And the locals hated it because people were always parking in their driveways, and people were kind of vicious about their friggin' parking spots out in Old Orchard Beach.
Yeah.
And parking was very strict. And so, well, you get used to it. Like, that's just one of those, you get used to the culture, and you just learn to park far away. And was there a shuttle?
They had a shuttle at Old Orchard Beach. They had a shuttle from one of the campgrounds, because like a couple miles down the road, there was a wooded campground area, and they were constantly shuttling people to the beach from there.
I feel like we got it at least once.
I don't know.
Well, we used to drive, so we just knew to get there a little bit early and drive. And sometimes we'd get a big giant pizza and go sit on the bleachers right next to the beach. Old Orchard Beach is that's one of the places that I really do miss being since we've been away. That's
funny that we used to get Papa John's pizza on the way down to Old Orchard Beach for that, but there was like a fantastic New York pizza place there at Old Orchard Beach. Are you done?
Sweater's all done.
You finished the sweater?
Yep, I'm here now.
It looks great.
All right, so let's take out this next one.
Are you going to work on that one while we're doing the podcast?
No, I'm just kidding about that. But I do have it there. The next one's going to be brown, and it's in a treble. What are they called? Treble stitch instead of these doubles. Anyway, these are.
Are you asking me what a crochet stitch is called?
These are unnecessary details, but this is a pretty cute little sweater. I like this one. My friend Sarah said one of the ones I made last time. She calls it her $4,000 sweater. So I don't know if I should sell these for $4,000. I mean, if that's all I had to do to make $4,000. I'd make sweaters all the time. But anyway, there's another one that I'm tired of looking at because I've been staring at that beautiful white yarn for a week, and that's all I've been seeing. So anyway, don't want to see that. Never want to see another potato as long as I lives.
It's very soft. It feels
It's pretty sweet. It's very, very nice yarn. And so I got the exact same yarn but in a brown. And then I think I might do one that has so I did it all in one color, and I've got a royal blue one that I'm working on upstairs also. And I feel like there was a couple more before that. Anyway, I'm practicing with this whole top-down thing, and this one is crocheted. I've knit the last few, but anyway, that's that's my crafting life. And I'm stressed. I'm a little wound up, I gotta say.
You're anxious.
Well, anticipating. I'm very excited, but I'm wound up. Like it does feel exactly the same as stress, but I know the difference because I know I'm excited, and it's
because this week is, if you're listening to this on Wednesday, tomorrow, Thursday, April 3rd, is Songwriter Circle at the Battery with Vickie Morgan, Joel Hines, and Richie Perez.
Yeah.
At the Battery.
I can't wait. Oh my God, I can't wait. But
gonna
I've
be
had
fun.
a month to look forward to it, and I've planned it over and over and over and over in my head, and it's great every time. I don't think I've had a bad show yet in my head. So that's good, and we're all having a good time every
Always
time
a
I
good
imagine
sign.
it. I've been practicing all the stories I'm going to tell to introduce the songs. Some of them are funny. Sometimes I just draw a blank and I was like, what am I going to say about that one? Oh, I can't possibly play that one in public. And I did write a brand new song last week, which is pretty new. Like that's pretty. I think it's been a few months since I wrote anything new, so that was a nice experience.
That's a really great thing about songwriter circles is when they're like, this is a brand new one I'm still working on.
Yeah.
And you get to hear like a new song that nobody else has heard.
It's a move. It's certainly a step forward for me musically, to be doing a songwriter circle with people that it's almost like a check-in, like an accountability check-in of you're officially a songwriter, and here you're going to get together with other songwriters, and they're going to share and be vulnerable. And so, what are you bringing to the table? And so, I've got lots of songs, but it was kind of an interesting week, and it kind of like I was having a conversation over text, and it kind of prompted like, whoa! It was just started off as one line, and then it became a couple of lines, and then it turned into a whole song. And I was gonna come down and read the lyrics to you, and I sat down to do it, and I was like, nope, give me another minute. Let's see if I can come up with a melody for this. And the melody happened really fast, and I think that's like I like it when it happens like that.
Yeah.
Because like I've got a bunch of songs upstairs in a big container that they didn't go anywhere, or like I remember sharing it with the songwriting workshops, and there was some that I couldn't even read the lyrics. Like I was crying reading the lyrics. Like, okay, this one's not ripe yet, so I just put those away. And so they didn't even get to a melody part. And then some songs, like I get halfway through writing the melody or the music or whatever, and it's like, ugh, I hate this already. It's kind of a funny. It's a really, I don't know. I don't know what it's like for everybody else, but sometimes. Like I never want to see another potato as long as I live. Sometimes it doesn't have to be hanging around that long. But anyway, some of those songs I've been kind of thinking about pulling back out because it's moving forward. Like that's without I cleaned out the cupboard. And so like this past few weeks, there's some comedy shows going on in town, and I haven't gotten invited to perform in any of them. So, but again. Cleaning out the cupboard means like, what am I doing next? Like, let's just trust that the next thing that knocks on the door.
Comedy hasn't really been on your radar the past couple.
Well, I'm kind of
few months.
It was just kind of funny to hear that these shows are going on, and it's like this big showcase for like a national comedy festival, and they were looking for whoever was on the radar and some new talent and stuff. Like new talent, okay. I mean, I know I'm old, but comedy wise, I'm quite young, and it was just like, oh, I didn't even get a look in, and it was like, you know what, it's okay, because that's not what's next for me. And I mean, if I had to pick, I would like for music to be the thing that it seems like the most impossible dream for me, but it is the thing that excites me the most, so I'm happy about that.
It's definitely not impossible. We got a CD out. We've been playing shows the past few years, a lot of local shows, and
sometimes it just kind of goes on like a slow burn for a while, and it just gets on the back burner, and it's like, okay, I'll do whatever coming, I'm also in the mood to make some more clothes, ready to open up the bin of stuff that I made last year and see what kind of projects I'd like to work on this year. And because it's getting warm enough to wear the stuff that I made.
That's true.
Some like cotton flowy pants.
It's not going to be very long before we're out in flip-flops and t-shirts.
It's going to be fun.
That's
I think
exciting.
It's going to be a really good summer, and you're almost ready to graduate. Your work term coming up in a few weeks. And so, yeah.
Thanks for listening. This has been, it sounded like you were winding down there.
Nah, just getting geared up. Well, I started off in a bad mood, actually. I don't know if you could tell. That's why I brought down the crocheting, so I could kind of keep my hands busy and get myself focused. Because when you can distract yourself with something, it helps your brain go, what is it you want to do and say next? And so I find that's a really good, like meditating. It just stops, it detaches you from everything for a little while, and then when you reset, like an MRI, that's how I imagine it. An MRI, it's a magnetic resonance imaging, and my understanding of it is it does this, so it's, I don't know the mechanics of it, but it makes all your cells basically point towards the same direction, and then the machine like takes images as all the cells go back to their normal, because there's, I'm not being too sciencey here, but my understanding is that there is enough metal components in your cells,
iron and whatnot,
yes, that with a magnetic resonance, it all kind of moves all your cells, and they all point north, basically. I'm sure that's not what it is, but anyway. I
like to think that there's one blood cell in there going like this, And then the other ones come up to him and they're like, "What are you looking at?" He's like, "I don't know. I just feel like there's something over there to look at." And
I think there's more of a pulling. I think it's more of a pulling that they get pointed, like they are all. That was, I don't know where I even read that, but that's my understanding of an MRI, is that it takes images as the cells go back to their natural.
Wait, why are we talking about MRIs? You were in a bad mood. You brought down the crochet.
So it's like meditating. It's like you kind of detach, like you reset. It's like you take the snow globe and you give it a shake, or you wait till it all set. I don't know. I've lost my.
There was something there, I'm sure of it.
I've lost the imagery that I was going for. It's basically a reset. And then you figure it's cleaning out your cupboard. Meditating and crocheting for me is like cleaning out your cupboard. You take everything out and you say, wow, look at all that great space. I could put anything I want in there. And then you decide consciously and mindfully, what am I going to take up space with back in that brain or cupboard or whatever. And so for me, it was kind of like a reset. And it wasn't like, I guess I'll do music. It was more like, at the same time that I heard that these comedy things were going on. And there's a ton of shows that our friends are doing.
Yeah.
And not a look in.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, if it was a bunch of strangers that were doing shows that were like, that I wasn't getting calls about. And maybe I'm just not funny. Also a possibility.
Yeah. No, that's not it.
Oh, you're so sweet, but I think that might actually be true.
I think we need to take a quick break because we got to go take the meatloaf out of the oven.
Okay, I'll stay here.
You stay here, and we'll be right back. So everybody should be happy to know that our meatloaf smells fantastic.
Oh,
it's almost done. It's up in there, up in the oven, crisping on top, getting a nice little crust on it.
Yeah. And I looked up MRI, and so this is, I think this is... How
close were you?
Pretty close. Okay, ready for this? Okay. Certain atomic nuclei are able to absorb radio frequency energy when placed in an external magnetic field. The resultant evolving spin polarization can induce an RF signal in a radio frequency coil and thereby be detected. In other words, okay, for the rest of us,
for the lay people,
the nuclear magnetic spin of protons in the hydrogen nuclei resonates with the RF incident waves and emit coherent radiation with compact direction, energy, frequency, and phase. This coherent amplified radiation is easily detected by RF antennas close to the subject being examined.
That's exactly what you said, if I remember correctly.
I mean, I'd put it in regular layman's terms, but... So it also says something about it shows physiological processes in the body. I don't really totally understand. Someone explained it to me at some point, and I thought I could be way off. But anyway, I bet you there are a lot of medical professionals listening to this going, she's an idiot. I mean, I never said I was a doctor. Can we call this science school, this episode?
Science school.
Doctor school. We are a house of learned doctors.
Where Vickie teaches you how to be a doctor.
All that to say, it's a reset. I find it's good to reset and go, all right, what are we going to talk about? Like, what do we want to, what's important, what's going to rise to the top and bubble out of my mouth. And
are we finding that out? Is that what you're saying?
Well, okay. So here's the thing. I know I've talked on this podcast, like over the last few episodes or whatever, about how I look forward to doing it, and I like sharing, and if something weird happens during the week, like it's a really great kind of like a touchstone for me to, it's okay, we're going to do our podcast later this week or whatever. And so I feel like we talked a lot about our marketing last week, and I'm going through some sort of, like I almost want to do a best of episode just to touch on, okay, we did this, we did
Here's
Shopify, we did Shopify, then we did a website, then we did a whatever. And so basically marketing is, I think, a different beast, and promotion or whatever. It's a different beast from if I were to help somebody else do their marketing. I think the exploration and self-awareness that go into marketing your own stuff is a whole different thing. So I don't know, maybe that's something to think about, because 19 episodes in, it's really like, all right, so you figured out the mechanics of it, you figured out a recording schedule, we got the editing and captioning down to a science, you're amazing, you're doing the clips and you're pulling the teasers and the trailers and all that stuff out, and the show notes are even caught up, so like, all right, now you have no excuse, are you going to tell anybody about your show? Is really what it comes down to. It's like, okay, so you hit the ground running, you don't need to wait till you have 5 or 10 or 3 episodes before you start. You can just post one at a time.
Just do the thing.
Yeah. And I mean, it is a little bit harder, I think, I think you should at least have your second episode planned before you post your first one, because then you're not relying on a response to the first one. True.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's like, oh, I guess nobody liked it, and you can, get pretty down about it and all that, dejected. But I think at least having a plan for the second one or the third one is a good idea. And however you're going to structure it, whether you're having guests or if it's just you and a partner or whatever. But it does marketing yourself, and so it takes a lot of. I've been having like a whole lot of trouble with figuring out how do you what are we offering of value. I don't know. I mean, this week has been like a real put your face into the dirt. Like, why would anybody listen to anything you do? Like, oh, okay. So
a good week.
Well, it was Josh's suggestion. So we had a thing, and I'll get to it in a minute. That's our Are You Mad at Me segment that's coming up in a minute. But Josh was like, you could talk about this on the podcast. And I was like, oh, so I've been struggling with, could I? And also struggling with the idea of, is anybody still listening to us? I don't know. I have no idea. People let us know from time to time, but it's like, are they still hanging in there 19 episodes in? Haven't we been talking about the same stuff? So this is the maggots that crawl around in my brain. But I had a friend.
No, we're a delight.
I think so. And that's why we keep doing it. But it's it is a struggle of what do we offer? Why would anybody ever listen to this? And so it's like, well, I don't know. I'm feeling like you're not by yourself and that you're sitting out having a conversation with us. I like that idea. And I also like learning as we're going, we're going through the process of marketing ourselves and promoting ourselves and letting people know what we want about, do we want listeners or do we want to just be, I don't know. What's the alternative? Thanks for putting that sweater up there. Isn't it cute?
Displaying it for everybody.
It's a pretty nice little
watching.
sweater.
This is just another benefit of watching us instead of just listening to us.
Yeah, it is a pretty nice little sweater. It's a very nice pattern.
Blocked by this big sandbag that's holding up your microphone.
The sandbag's not necessary. That's only for...
Only if you don't want to talk like this.
Are you sure?
The falls down.
You have... There you go.
All right. If your microphone starts falling...
I'll put it back
Don't blame me. Just take my name off of it.
Okay, Angela. From The Office. That's not anybody named Angela particular. That's from The Office. Office quote. We
also don't like anybody named Angela.
We should do a little hashtag. That's really helpful, Henry. Josh, why don't you? Oh, Jesus. Okay. Where was I?
I don't know.
Were you listening?
No.
See, how can I expect anybody else to listen if you're not even listening? I don't even remember. I say
you started to say something about us posting clips last week. We posted some clips.
Yeah, we did.
So
I'm learning.
You find those on our YouTube.
Yeah, I'm learning to. I'm getting there. It's a process, and it's like going to the whole idea of self-publishing and starting a business. It's all figuring out.
He'll get it. Oh my God. Our assistant.
Amazing. Can I get more of me in my monitor here? Can we get some more reverb on my voice?
Reverb.
You're amazing.
It worked. I got a full mug of water now. Clink.
You see Josh manifesting that water?
I was just thinking, how nice would it be to have a crew of people here that somebody could run and get me some water.
Well, let's go back an hour when I, for some reason, had an Nalgene of cold water with me, and then you brought down mugs of water. You're a master manifester. Can you ask the universe for an RV for us to go across the country? Just because I'm working my ass off, meditating and writing in my journal. Okay, can you do it? Because apparently your powers of manifesting are far beyond.
I'm busy.
I think you're more pure of heart. You're the kid. You're the one that could probably pull the sword out of the stone.
Simple, you mean?
No, you got that touch. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's from your years of being a Southern Baptist before we met, or if you put in your time or whatever, paid your dues, but you're good at it.
I'm on a list.
You're on some list, I'll tell you. You're on something. Anyway, what are we talking about?
We're talking about our marketing from our podcasts and the clips we've been putting up. And
I think
sharing.
it'd be kind of fun to put together literal clips of, okay, here's us talking about, we did Shopify, and then we did this, and we did a website, and then that shut down, and then we did this and this. I think it's kind of if you're following along or interested in whatever it is, whatever sick, twisted thing it is about you that makes you listen to us.
That's fair.
Right? There's got to be something kind of not going the elevator's probably not going all the way to the top with the people that are enjoying us, don't you think?
Yeah, probably.
This just gone
I'm
off.
trying to think of more metaphors like the elevator.
It's gone off the rails, folks. I just alienated our whole audience. So what I'm working on.
I'm just really surprised that we have 2 bookshelves like this in our house. Like there's the one up in the living room and the one down here. We got a lot of books.
I feel like we're doing 2 different podcasts.
Are we going to read all those? You want to start over?
Kind of.
Thank you for listening to the Are You Mad at Me podcast. I'm Josh Morgan.
Oh, sweet Jesus. This is brutal.
I had a little bit of CBD before we started.
It's going to kick in soon.
And I'm just,
I don't know. So years ago, if you were lucky enough to go to a Ron Hines show, sometimes he'd say, "Everybody now." And if you sang along, some performers will say, "Oh, that was beautiful." But Ron would go, "It was brutal. It was awesome. It was like one of my favorite things that he did."
Getting roasted by
He would say, "That was brutal."
Your entertainer.
And then he would say, "How about a hand for the band?" And then as soon as you'd start clapping, he'd go, "That's such a performer's trick to just get you people clapping along." And I miss him. I miss Ron Hines shows. He was like, awesome.
It was really good.
So yeah, anyway, I am, anyway.
So what I was going to say before when we were talking about the band, we're doing more stuff for the band on social media.
Yep.
So TikTok, Mulberry Creek, Instagram, Mulberry Creek Music. You can find us on Facebook. But we're going to be posting more videos, I think, like the one that we made this week out in the snow. And
there's probably going to be lots of more snow opportunities.
Well, not the snow. We're going to be doing more content, I think, for the band because.
Why? Tell me why.
Because we like playing music. We like having the opportunity to do shows, and if we're like, there was somebody that does a lot of stuff with downtown St. John's was like, who do you guys? It was a big following on Facebook, on their page, and they were like, who do you guys think should open up for these bands that are coming in this summer for people were like, Nick Earl and, Rachel Cousins. And so I was like, Mulberry Creek. And,
Who posted that?
It was the live events page.
Oh.
So they got a big following. They got like 10,000 followers or something. But, put it out there. We applied to do some stuff for the city. And we didn't play much last year, but we were pretty busy with.
Okay. I'm going to try something. You ready? You trust me with this here?
Yeah.
Okay. So momentum and energy in a room changes if somebody leaves the room or somebody comes in or the phone rings or something different happens. So I'm gonna reset. I don't want to restart the podcast, but I'm gonna take 5 seconds off camera and I'm gonna come back in and I want to be my best self. You ready for that? You talk amongst yourselves for a minute.
All right. Well, this is. I really thought she was gonna get up and get a guitar.
Do you want me to get a guitar?
I thought that's what you were saying you were going to do. I mean, I don't have any idea how that will work with the mics that we have set up right now.
I'll just hold it.
Just hold it. Just like, what was that guy's name that used to hold the violin, the comedian? He never played it. He just held it.
I don't know. But do you remember I went to
Benny Goodman.
Yeah. Let's put the guitar over on the couch like it's our friend. How about that? That's my Takamine.
This will be our first music podcast.
Yeah. So the Takamine came from a gig. We did a gig up in Bay Roberts, and on the way back.
That was in Garden. No, hang on. It was
Carboneer, Bay Roberts.
It was past Carboneer. It wasn't Bay Roberts. It was Harbor Grace. Yeah,
Harbor Grace. Yeah, there's a regatta that goes
Harbor
up there.
Grace regatta, and on the way up there was this adorable little mall, strip mall, and indoors. But they had a music store that was attached to like a collectibles kind of art, funky stuff store. And we went in there and had a, we had a show that day. It wasn't a paid show.
It was not a paid show, but it was.
It wasn't like we spent the money from
No, we
the show.
used the money from the George Street gig.
Right.
Because it was a little while after the George Street gig. And
we played George Street, got paid for that.
And it was a whole lot of instruments that we all already had. And it was a big spot, but it was really nothing out of the ordinary that we didn't already have. And it was kind of disappointing. And
it wasn't Long and McQuaid. It was like a little privately owned music store.
And so Josh comes over and he goes, what could I possibly say that you would say, oh yeah, we're not leaving without that? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, Josh, he knows. Attack one. That's why that would be about the only thing that you could hand me in a store. It's like, what do I need to do to put this in your hands today? It was because it was the dream guitar.
And they just happened to have one in the back that they had. It was used. It was repaired or set up.
It was the sample. It was the floor model.
but they had it hanging up in the back of in their workshop area. It wasn't even like on the floor. It was like hung up in the workshop. So anyway, we went home with it.
And now it's here.
We didn't have it for the show.
No.
It was like after we left.
We came home with an extra
We
guitar.
came home with another guitar. Yeah.
But it was nice to have money from gigs to pay for an instrument and invest back in ourselves. So I really
nice. I like having a cutaway on an acoustic.
Yeah.
Like I like
It's
having
pretty
the
nice.
because the Strat has that cutaway where you can play all the wheelies up here, you know?
Yep.
And every now and then I got a song that I want to go all the way up high like that.
I got a couple that I play right up in
my old it's upstairs in the living room. My original acoustic guitar didn't have the cutaway. It's just
it's very nice.
So you got to really reach for those high notes.
Yep.
Anyway, so
this is the giant reset. This is what we just did. I feel like a different person. Do I seem like a different person?
Totally.
All right. So let's have the podcast that my best self would have.
Okay.
Earlier this week, we posted a video. Josh did a video. So, of course, we do the podcast, and it's just freewheeling. There's no editing, like chopping up.
During it.
Yeah, there's no like, we're going to take that part out. It's pretty much live off the floor.
Yeah.
And so we posted. And so Josh goes off with the videos and cuts out what he thinks is funny. He's got a very interesting sense of humor, and it kills. Like, people really respond to Josh's sense of humor. He is a lot younger than me. And so his...
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. You're mentally and technologically, you are, like, I'm an older, like, curmudgeon-y kind of, I don't know, 70s kind of humor. And I think you are a little bit more like the millennial, like, you get it. You get the mindset, which is great. And then we've got teenagers in the house that are also, like, they get it. And it's stuff that's, like, feels foreign to me. But it's like, okay, whatever. Anyway, Josh comes back with a clip that we posted that came on the last podcast.
I took a clip out of the last podcast.
He took a clip out of the last podcast and sent it to me. And so he posted it on our YouTube channel and all that stuff. And I was like, that's pretty funny. So I put it on my author page. And it was a story about, I can't even tell you how uncomfortable I am right now. Like, this is so, okay. This is the week to be brave. Seriously. Like, coming up this week, I am going to be sitting next to someone I absolutely adore. Yeah. I love his work so much, and I am so far beyond intimidated. I'm terrified. I'm terrified to sit next to him and put my piddly little songs next to him. Like, I don't know what he's going to think of my songs. He's already said he likes some of my stuff, but it's like, this is the real deal. Like, I'm going to have to make noise come out of my face and make my hands remember how to play my own songs next to this person. Like, I'm already terrified.
I'm 100% sure that Joel and Richie feel exactly the same way.
I'm positive that's not true. But that's a really nice compliment. Thank you. But I don't think that's anywhere near the truth. So I'm like gearing up, and I'm going through all the I don't know. There's like stages of grief, so there's got to be stages of excitement. But I'm going through it of self-doubt and who'd listen to me and who'd care and is my stuff going to be good enough and should I write new stuff and what stories. Like, I'm really face down in the arena, as Brene Brown would say. I'm face down, covered in blood, scratched to death. Like, I'm going through it. And I think people who care about me would see that and hear that. And they're probably listening to the podcast, if I'm being honest. So please don't cut this part out and take it out of context, because this is not, you should have to listen to the podcast to get this vulnerable, you know? This is not a funny clip that I expect to be sharing. So anyway, Josh took a clip from, over the past few weeks, I've been like struggling with, and it's great to have this marketing things to concentrate on, because it's like you have to dig deep and find a way to like yourself enough to say a good thing about yourself in a marketing promotion or in a promotional ad or whatever, or even post on wherever. Anyway, it's been going really well. Last week in particular, we had this like just amazing day of, I'm going to post on Pinterest. I'm going to post a poster on Etsy today. I'm going to do, and it was just like, it was clicking. Like, I was in a good space. I felt really good. And then you send me these clips for the podcast. I'm like, these are killer. They're so funny. And like the way he was cutting it together and showing his reaction to stuff was like, this is really killer. Anyway, there was this really benign exchange where we were saying, you know, the second book that I wrote was about film. It wasn't about film. It was about music.
But the title was about film.
But the title was How to Fail at Documentary Filmmaking.
Yeah.
And so we were just having an organic conversation. And I said, I'm realizing through this whole process that I'm a musician. I'm not a filmmaker. I'm a musician. And I became a musician. And this book is really about becoming a musician. So then Josh says, just an offhand comment, he goes, yeah, so that guy that said. And so that became, Josh turned it into a book promotion. So it flashes on the screen and it says, yeah, that guy that said I didn't like the topic. That's like Josh is flashing the picture of the book, and it becomes a really great little 40-second clip, right? So I posted thinking, this is really great. Like, this is a great story. It's got a good hook. It's personal. It's my story. It happened to me. So I can share it if I want to. And it was like a good flash, like showed the book cover, and we put a link to where you can buy it. And it was a really great marketing wise. And I have a, degree in marketing. So I wouldn't say expert, but I would say qualified to decide if it's a good marketing tool.
You could apply for a job, and they wouldn't be like, "Why are you applying for this job?"
It wouldn't be that much of a shock for me to. So, like, I know how to do other people's marketing, and I'm going through the process, and I feel like it must be obvious because we're going through this process together on this podcast. Like, every single week, it's what are we working on this week, and how are we going to find our inner guidance, or like how do we like ourselves enough to do it. So anyway, there were a lot of great responses. People thought it was funny. There was reactions. People were emailing, asking me to publish their books for them. It was really a solid marketing effort. And then someone commented on there and said, I don't remember the exact quote. I can read it. Should it? Does it matter? Does it matter?
I mean, you can paraphrase it.
Basically, you're a moron.
That's not quite what it was.
Okay. So we know that in communication, there's the sender of the message, there's the receiver of the message, and sometimes noise can get in the way of the actual message getting through, right? That's communication. That's a degree also in communication. And there's sender, receiver, signal. And there's all these things. There can be technological breakdowns. There can be language barriers. There can be moods. There can be, if the receiver receives it the way the sender intended it, is, it's pretty iffy most of the time. I thought I was going to learn all that stuff in a psychology program, but I didn't get anything out of psychology. It didn't explain any of my family dynamics. It didn't explain any of the relationships that hadn't gone well, but the communication program did explain it really well. It's all communication. It's all, I think I'm saying this thing and you're receiving it this way, and sometimes the intention is not what somebody receives. I get that. But from a marketing perspective, it was a great promo because it's a funny story. It's relatable. There's a chapter in my new book called Don't Sell to Your Family and Friends. They're not your ideal clients. They're not your ideal readers. And it's heartbreaking. So I've had this story going back and forth now since the book came out in 2023. There's a reason I share the story. Do you know? Do you know why this story keeps coming up?
Tell me.
But I mean, seriously, as an observer, do you know?
I mean, I think I know. As your co-host, I'm going to let you tell the story on the podcast.
It hurt my fucking feelings. I mean, come on. I passed my book to people that I thought cared about me, and they said, I'm not interested. I made a set about it. I made I did a stand-up set about it. Where are you going? Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It's just making some adjustments.
We're watching me grow here. And that's okay. Because you know what? We're not guaranteed tomorrow.
Here. You keep telling your story.
Are you doing a Chili Pepper song while I'm... Oh my God.
This is what we used to do in church when we do.
Are you serious?
When we do there'd be like a worship band on the stage, and the preacher would be like doing the...
What do you call it?
The altar call.
What's the altar call?
And you'd be back in the back just like playing some chords,
Sparky, that's exactly how I feel, buddy. Tell me what an altar call is.
At the end of the service, when the preacher did a real good job convincing everybody to be Christians, be good Christians, he calls them up. You come up to the altar, to the stage, and you pray, and you
Yuck.
Yeah. And it's super uncomfortable.
So if you're watching the video of this, you can see that the oldest dog that we have, that's usually not all that sensitive, just crawled up in my face and got on me, because I think they sense big emotions. So I told the story because it hurt my feelings.
Right.
It hurt a lot. And so because an apology was not forthcoming, and the person literally bragged to me later on about how proud he was that he said it because he was so straightforward with his feelings.
He's getting everything figured out.
He was like, I'm really figuring stuff out. I really know who I am now. Remember when I said that thing? And I was like, yeah, I talk about it all the time.
Yeah, it sucked.
And instead of apologizing then, was like, all right. So I processed it in the way that I knew how. I feel like I've come a long way. Back in the day when I was living on the blocks and my father had chains and all that stuff, I just punched someone. But I can't do that because I'm not 9 years old anymore. Like, you can't punch somebody. You can't, like... And right now, I'm like, oh my God, what if someone hears this and wants to come fight me? Fucking come fight me. I'll give you my address. I'll fight. No sweat. No problem. It's not a threat. I'm welcoming it. Bring it on. I'm tired of being afraid. I'm tired of it. Someone hurt my fucking feelings. And I made a song about it, and I did a comedy set about it. And I didn't hide it. I showed it to them. I brought it literally to their house and said, look what I did. I did this about you. And they went, huh, did I say that? Yeah, you did. And they still didn't apologize. So that exact same person comes back to my clip. We're not going to use this, right? This is never going to get to air.
We're going to lose a lot of advertisers over this one.
So what Josh is trying to let me know is that there are no stakes here. Nobody's paying for this podcast.
I'm not that deep.
I think you are. I think you're very deep and wonderful. The person in the couple came back and put a comment on my person. I mean, I put it out there publicly. I get it. But they put a comment on there and just cut to the bone and said, I'm glad you're getting a lot of mileage out of that conversation. Like, I wouldn't be getting any mileage out of it if you had just apologized. It was the rudest, nastiest thing I've had said to me in years. Yeah. It was a personal, vulnerable thing I was passing to my friends. And you know what I left out of the clip? Well, after he said, I'm not interested in buying the book because I'm not interested in the topic, I stared at him like, I can't believe you just said that. And he said, I mean, I can make a donation to you if you want.
If that's what you want.
A donation. So, as my dear friend Denny would say, these are not your friends. And every week we get on here and we talk about marketing yourself, promoting yourself, being creative, being brave. And the same message I feel like has been coming out for the past few weeks. There's been a theme. They're not your friends. Your friends don't treat you like that. Your friends don't crush you and then
double down.
And then double down and then like they just don't. And so how did we get here? How am I still using and getting mileage out of the conversation? Because it hurt. It hurt. And now I'm connecting with other people with it because other people have been hurt too. Like, yeah. This is how life is. You take creative risks and not everybody's going to love you for it. In fact, it might piss people off and that's okay too. But there is some sort of, I wish there was like some sort of manual where it could be like, okay, so your friend just crushed you. Your friend just broke your heart. Here's how to survive that. Because I can go out, like there are hospitals out there. If you get into a car accident, there are people who can mend your bones, like literally sew you back together, saw you up, put you back together, put some steel plating in you. Like they can heal you, but there's nothing there. There's no manual for how to heal from someone that you trust ripping your heart out. And then beyond that is like, why do you keep going back? Because I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I am the stupidest person I'm aware of.
I think that's hope.
Because I keep going back.
And...
So I think you could also replace all those words with stupid. After so many tries, it's like, that's the sign of mental illness, right? What? No. What's the sign of insanity? Doing the same thing and expecting different results. So I'm worked up, but maybe there's some value. Maybe somebody needs to hear this. So for whoever is up on altars this week, I went to a funeral about a year ago, and maybe 2 years ago, and it was this minister, Salvation Army minister, and he was talking about how he gets up and does these, whatever they're called, like a eulogy. And he said, like, he takes notes and he, has like kind of a message, like it's same as a performance. He has a message that he wants to deliver. And he said sometimes at funerals, like he'll say the wrong name or pronounce it wrong. And then the family gets really upset. And I said, do you think maybe that's like inspired because the family has something to grab onto? So they're going through this tremendous grief. Yeah. And they have something to hang on to that they get to focus on. They yell at you and say you said his name wrong, but that's something to like channel.
Let off a little steam.
There's no way to let out grief. I find crocheting, knitting, doing a podcast, making songs, doing comedy sets, like that's how I let off steam. It's so that I don't murder anybody. Like I got a lot of rage is what I'm saying.
So we're letting some of the rage out is what you're getting at.
Well, we're letting it out in a controlled environment.
Controlled environment.
And yeah.
It's really hard not to pick that guitar up and play it. We should play some music after this podcast. Like having it this close, it's really like
Calling to you?
Yeah. Just want to play some music. That's a good outlet too. Just banging away on a guitar and getting out.
I really don't think we're going to put this on the podcast channel because I don't know what's happening today. It's probably because I've got this big thing coming up in a few days, but earlier today, I had a story come back that like I hadn't thought about in a really, really long time. It was a few stories, actually. You want to hear some stories?
Story time.
Okay. So this is section B of Are You Mad at Me? This is not going to be funny clip, so I'm sorry. We can
Listen, stop telling me what to cut out and what not to cut out. I make those decisions.
No, this is...
I'll tell you if this is funny or not.
Wow. All right, let's see what you got.
Let the internet be the judge.
Well, today's my nephew's birthday. I haven't talked to him in a long time. And it reminded me of some stories that you kind of, when you go down through like your family history or your whatever, your history with friends and how things have gone off the rails and things like that. Like you kind of start telling yourself these narratives and then you don't question them. You just go, yeah, I guess they just hate me now or whatever it is. And it's triggered by, I haven't talked to this group of my relatives in a very long time. And like the reason for it.
Story time.
It's story time. There have been a number of occasions in my life where I have witnessed abuse. And not like, yelling at a kid or not giving them what they want or even hitting them. Like sexual abuse. I've noticed sexual abuse. And as a survivor myself, I always kind of had like, my skin crawls around people that are yucky. And it's a gift because there's no questioning. Like I know when I'm around a creepy person. It's not all the time. I don't get it hardly ever because it's pretty rare for me to be around anybody that's, a creepo anymore. But so once upon a time, we can't use any of this. That's okay. I'm just going to keep talking. We'll put this in and we'll just send this to my therapist. I went and did a certification. It was a 2-day training program in Boston, Massachusetts, where clinical psychologists and therapists and police officers and this whole group of professionals who deal with this on a daily basis had put together this program and gave us training in here's specifically, scientifically, objectively, what to look for. And so I took the certification. It was a very hard 2 days, but I got the certification and I learned how objectively to notice what are dead giveaways.
Warning signs.
So all the people that work in like crisis intervention, abuse centers, sexual assault crisis centers, child abuse prevention centers, all these things. And these are big things in the U.S. It's not a big thing here in Newfoundland for a whole other set of reasons. But there are whole organizations dedicated to prevention and dealing with the fallout. So these people all agreed that this program was, if you go through this program and you learn the stuff, you're qualified to at least not just go on instinct or not go on your crawly feeling, but to go with, I think there's something going on here. And so I have like a trail of people that are mad at me because I said, I think your child is having some issues. Like there's some obvious signs of abuse going on here. And so someone said to me many years ago, my sister-in-law, well, who the hell are you anyway to know that? You don't know what you're talking about. So I went, okay. And I did something that I looked out for the kid.
Yeah.
And I made a phone call to the police. And the police came back to me and said they had questioned the child. And they were absolutely positive that something was going on. But they couldn't get the little person to say the words. And so they couldn't press any charges. So that is not the first time. And I hope it's the last. But it's not the first time in my life that I have reported sexual abuse. And it's kind of ironic or weird to me that all these years later, like I've told myself the story that I did something bad to those families. But I didn't. The people sexually abused and the children were doing the bad things to the families.
Yeah.
helping and reporting it and trying to give your kid a chance to not end up broken for the rest of their lives without help.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny to me that the narratives you tell yourself are like, you just accept, like, yeah, I guess I'm just a terrible person. Like, no, I'm not. What am I talking about? When did I decide to put that head on and say, yeah, I guess I have relatives who say, watch out for Vickie. She loves calling child services. Do you know how sick to my stomach it makes me to have to call because the parents won't? Like, who enjoys that? Yeah. I tell you who definitely doesn't enjoy it is the kid who's continuing to be abused because none of the adults around will help.
Yeah.
That's disgusting to me.
Yep.
It's just like, anyway, what I remember today was that when I was 9 and I told my abuser that I was going to tell on him if he ever touched me again, nobody knew. Nobody knew it was happening. Nobody knew that it had stopped. But that Christmas, I had a little brother born that year too. So there was a brand new baby. They literally forgot my birthday that year because he was born 2 days after mine, and they forgot my birthday. And they forgot it the following year also. But that Christmas, I got a guitar. And I was never lonely again. And it wasn't like, go practice your guitar. Go learn it. Like, I wanted to. I sat in my room and learned the chords, and I learned the songs I wanted to play. And I'd go listen to songs on a record player, and I'd learn to play along with them. And I started playing, like when we go to relatives' parties and things, like kitchen parties, and everybody was drunk off their asses and sleeping with each other's spouses. I was playing guitar and playing songs. Like, it was chaos. It was absolute chaos in my life. But I had my guitar. And for the first... So when I wrote my first song when I was 42. So what's that?
5 years ago?
No, 39.
Oh, from when you got the guitar.
No, sorry, 30. How long is that? I was 9 when I got the guitar, so 33 years later.
Yep.
For 33 years, I thought I wasn't a musician because I was only playing covers. I knew how to play lots of covers, but had been told, you got a terrible voice. You could use a few voice lessons. That was my mother that said that. It was awful. But I didn't stop playing my guitar. And someone said one time, if you can accompany yourself on the guitar, you'll never be lonely. And that's a fact. And so when I was 9 and had been abused at that point for 2 years under my parents' noses by a friend of my brother's, come here, sweetheart, come here, come up, come on. Mm-hmm. Come here. My brothers are still friends with the guy who abused me, went to jail for it. They didn't go to jail for hanging out with him. He went to jail. Yeah. He went to jail. My brothers, I keep saying my parents, my brothers are still friends with that guy. So that's my family dynamic. And I don't know who needs to hear that. He's just, I think, picking up on some big feelings. That's all. He's okay. Thanks, buddy. Anyway, the podcast is taking a turn. Are you okay with this?
Are you mad at me?
Are you mad at me? It's the crux of why we're doing what we're doing. Josh is wonderful and supportive and follows me down whatever rabbit hole I decide this week that we're doing, whether it's, hey, let's start a band, or hey, let's write a book, or hey, let's move to North Carolina, or let's move to Maine, or let's move to New Brunswick, or move to Newfoundland. Josh has followed every single step of the way every time I come up with some harebrained idea to be happy. And so right now we're doing a podcast, and I put on my status on Facebook a while ago on my bio, and it said, I do a podcast every week. I'm probably talking about you on there. And I know everybody thinks that's a joke because Vickie is so funny. And people who really have known me for a long time know that there's layers beyond being funny that are, I fought my ass off to get here. I fought my ass off to not kill myself and get therapy and get help when I needed it and recover from things that shouldn't happen to people, but they do. And I'm here raising children, and we're going on 19 years. I mean, I don't know how they've been for you, but I think I'm doing a few things right.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking out for myself, and that means I can help other people put on their flotation devices and masks. And that's like, kick me when I'm down if you want to, but you're the asshole. If you want to stand in front of me with your loved one and have him pass back my book and say, I'm not interested in this thing you made, you're an asshole. Stop calling yourself my friend.
Right.
And you want to come comment on my page when I'm doing marketing to sell books to support my family, You're the asshole. I don't have any questions. And I think I'm going to give credit, even though I have not talked to him. Like, I don't know him. I'm going to sit next to Joel Hines for the first time in my life coming up on Thursday. But I am going to give him some credit because I feel like this is my inner Joel Hines coming out. He doesn't give a shit. And I can tell based on what he writes, what he sings, and what he does with his life, and the shows that he writes and stars in. Like, he tells the truth about his stories. And you know who did that before him?
His uncle?
Ron Hines. Told the real stories. He said, tell your stories and don't, like, I don't have a quote. I don't mean to speak out of turn because, you know, I wasn't like best friends with him or anything. But people who tell the real stories of Newfoundland, like, we're not a tourism commercial. There's a whole lot of stuff happening behind those Jelly Bean Row House doors that would make your skin crawl. It happens. It still happens. These stories are happening all the time. I mean, it's horrific what happens here. So I don't mean to be all like, I know we got a really funny song that we're working on, but it really, like, it's in my songs. These are stories that I'm going to share. And I know I'm going to be sitting next to somebody supporting me. And I know I have at least one person in the audience who supports who I am and what I say and would defend my right to say it. These are my stories. And if you want me to tell you better stories about you, act better. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give that one to Corey Tetford because when we put out Garden Party, I was so scared to put that song out. And I was like, Corey, I mean, we had recorded it and he did such a great job and he made that sound 1,000 times better than what I had sent to him with all the instruments and the mixing was beautiful. And he's doing background on there. It's gorgeous. And I was still scared, even with his name on it and his instrument,
right.
I was terrified. And he's like, Vickie, if people wanted you, he said, comes a point in your life where people need to have some accountability for how they acted. And it's not on you to cover it up or change your story or change your songs. And I owe him, I will be grateful to him for the rest of my life because that song has done so well.
Yeah.
It resonates with people. And it was personal to me. Like there's very personal details in there, but it resonates with people because lots of people have these messed up lives. And I don't know who these Stepford wives are that pretend everything's okay, but I think the strength, and I'm saying this to whoever might be listening who needs to hear it. Your strength, your biggest strength is the things that you think are the things you're most embarrassed about. The things that you carry around and you're afraid people might find out about it is like, that's your superhero power. That's your superpower because it connects you with people. And if you can see an example of somebody who's gotten through it, I mean, am I a mess? Absolutely. You know how many panic attacks I had this week? About 1,000. But am I still sitting here?
Yep.
Right? Isn't that kind of the point? Isn't that survivorship? Isn't that like you got through it? There's at least one person that you can say, I mean, she got through it. And that's not to go, oh, look at me, pat me on the back. It's like, no, I've had a rough week. It's been hard. In the middle of like, but Vickie, you're doing this thing next week. Isn't this great? Like, yeah, it is great. So I've been like, what do people do when they become successful? Like, are they getting phone calls? Are they getting messages on their Facebook page? Are they getting messages on TikTok from people that are supposed to care about them that will just destroy them and they're just about to go on stage and perform? And like performing, oh my God, performing. When you imagine like that you have the ability, just like when you teach somebody in an adult learning class, like you showing somebody how to do a thing that they could make money at and they could get out of an abusive relationship is possible life-changing.
Right.
Or they learn how to use a keyboard. They learn how to type and use a word processor and they write a book. Or they like giving somebody a skill or making somebody feel better like is such a powerful opportunity. And it's one I don't take lightly.
Right.
So if I'm going to share my music and end up on stages and have people reading my books and have this ability to influence somebody's few hours after reading my book, like I take that very seriously. And I think it's important to take care of myself. So I'm putting my best foot forward and protecting your space. So like I've been talking to Josh a lot about this all week. Like, what do people do when they're in a position? Like, let's imagine they become successful, which I know just struck fear in the hearts of the people that might be listening to this just to creep. And that's okay. Welcome. You're welcome here too.
They're an hour and 10 minutes in.
Start your own podcast if you got something to say about me. I'll edit it. I mean, I'll help you. I'll market it for you. When you have that opportunity to make people feel better, or like forget about their own lives for an hour, or help them, whatever, connect and go, hey, I got an uncle like that too, or my cousin did that, or my brothers haven't talked to me in years either. Like, if you can pull somebody out of, maybe they're standing there thinking about killing themselves that night. Maybe they're thinking, I'm no good to my kids. Maybe I should just drive off the road on the way home. Like, if I can raise somebody's frequency by this much, because they go, wait, but we're at a concert. Why are you talking about this kind of stuff in public? Because I don't know who's listening. I don't know who needs to hear it. I have to trust that these experiences this week are for some reason. Not just to make me feel shitty, but maybe somebody benefits from it. There are people out there who call themselves your friends who aren't, and who don't. And you know how you can tell? I know people are not raised in the 70s, especially people my age. You're not really raised to identify a feeling, but you can kind of tell, like, does this feel good or does this feel bad? If something consistently feels bad, like if they make you feel queasy, if you have a panic attack when you're driving away from their house, when you have a panic attack on the way to their house, like there are people that are a habit, and they might not be your friend. Even though they say things to you like, you're my best friend, or you're the best friend I've ever had, or I would never let anybody come between us. Like, those are, sometimes the lyrics don't match the music. And I think when that stuff is messed up for you at a young age, you have to relearn it as an adult. And I'm pointing, I feel like a politician. That's the stuff that you need to relearn. And so many people, and I know we don't get into this. We've never done this on the podcast. I think we've gotten into this a few times on the radio show. Yeah. It kind of came up a couple times for the exact same reasons. And I'm blank. This is when PTSD comes out. It's like, this is really uncomfortable and hard. And how about we just pull every thought out of your head and you can't think of what you're going to say. Yeah. Time to shut down now. I think one of the reasons I feel so passionate about giving someone a platform to share their story. Like, yes, it's great when you have a great, exciting story, and yes, I'll publish your book, and if you wrote a kid's book, that's fantastic. But I think there are so many people out there who believe their story doesn't matter. They're afraid that nobody will believe them. They're afraid that their friends and family will be mad at them if they tell. And there are ways around that. You can call your book fiction. You can change the names. You can change your name. There's a whole lot of ways, but the therapeutic process of writing your story down as though you're sending it to a friend. If you wrote from the perspective that I am sending a letter to someone who loves me, who is my absolute best friend, and could be imaginary. Maybe you don't have this in your life, but if you write from the perspective of somebody on the other side is going to read it and love you, and they want to hear your story, just doing it one time is amazing. If you have the courage to publish it, it has the ability to reach anybody in the world, and you don't know how many people you can impact when you tell those stories. And so it goes for documentary film, it goes for writing your songs, it goes for writing poetry, and it goes for writing books. Probably lots of other stuff too. I don't really get sculptures and art, but there are people who express themselves in paintings and sculptures, and I don't see abuse a lot in that. That doesn't speak to me, but I know it's also one of those things. It's another art form that does help people relieve. It's a way to get out grief and
it's an outlet.
Fear. It's an outlet. And so I feel like my purpose on this planet is to help people see that there's a platform available. Not necessarily to provide it. I don't mean to be like, you can find it yourself. Google search, you can find out how to publish a book.
But it is there.
It's there, and I share it because it made such a big difference in my life to be able to share it. And I'm still here at 47 years old going, oh my God, someone didn't like what I said. What if they come knock on my door and beat me up? Fuck off. Bring it on. You know what? 911 is available. I mean, unless you're in a different country and it's like 912 or something like that. But like, just, it's amazing to go back to that fear and like, what if someone beats me up? What if someone gets mad at me? Like, what if someone gets mad at you? Talk it out. What happens then?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, I do feel a little sympathy for you latching yourself to this sinking anchor.
I'm happy to be a part of your life.
Aww.
You are a delight. And you do a great job at providing support and encouragement for people that otherwise might not see it anywhere. So that's really great.
And I think sometimes it comes back to me in the form of an invitation like this week. And there have been many times that people have been nice to me so far beyond what I thought I deserved. And so it still catches me by surprise when somebody is shitty to me. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, that's what I deserve. It's nice to have examples to go, wait a second. That's not the consensus anymore. Right. I haven't been that little girl that you pushed around in a really, really long time. And it's astounding to me that folks who have done that are anywhere near me anymore. It's only from, what is that called? What are those, like legacy? When people go to a college because their parents went, it's like a legacy friendship. Like, I don't owe you a friendship anymore. And there has to be a cutoff to how much you can abuse somebody and still expect their friendship. It's done.
Yep.
It's like,
that's true.
We're done. What's like that poor girl with the Tourette's says,
we're done.
We're done.
You're done.
I love it. You're done. Like that's, we're done. There's nothing else to talk about. And tell your own stories. I don't care. Tell your stories about me. Fine. Great. They're probably very entertaining because I'm pretty fun.
That's right.
Right? But if you want to go out and tell a story like, Vickie called the cops on my... Yep, I did. I absolutely did. I did think your child was being sexually abused, and I told you about it, and you did nothing. And so I did what I wish somebody had done for me when I was 7.
So there's kids out there that have an example in their life of somebody that cared enough to... Even if it doesn't click in their head until they're in their 20s. Like
I didn't have that.
There was somebody that was there.
I didn't have that. I had a whole bunch of people ignoring what was going on. It seemed so obvious to me. And years later, instead of people coming to me and saying, I'm sorry that was happening, it wasn't your fault, I've had the exact opposite. There are people still mad at me for what was done to me. And I know that sentence is like, Vickie, what are you doing? This is like it's not a marketing podcast. It's a podcast with Vickie and Josh. And this is how we are. This is who we are. There are people who are still mad at me who will it's unbelievable how these people who claim to be my family and my friends have actually I don't get it. I don't get it. And I mean, maybe they got something going on in their own lives. It just makes them feel better to shit on somebody else. But sorry for all the swear words on this one.
That's all right.
It's been a rage. It's been kind of a ragey one. But I feel like it's a part of the, I don't know. I'm shocked at myself that with something so exciting on the horizon that I would be in this kind of a frame of mind, like leading up to it. And it's like, are you just making room? Like maybe this is just making room for positive stuff.
That's true, yeah.
But as far as did that person go and is she listening to this podcast now to see if I talked about the comment? Yeah, I did. And I don't know if you're listening an hour and 15 minutes in.
Well, I'm proud of you, and you're great. And I think this week is going to be a great show. I'm excited.
It's the next thing. It's the next amazing thing, and I've been so lucky. As much as I'm going to, if I can say all that shitty stuff that I just said, it has the opposite. The opposite is also true. I have been the luckiest person that I've ever known in my life. I have had the experiences I've had, what I continue to experience in my life. I have 2 healthy, beautiful children. I have an absolutely gorgeous, talented, amazing, supportive, loving, caring, gentle giant of a husband. 18 years. I mean, I've never been afraid of you a day in my life. Not for a millisecond, I've never been afraid. There has always been space, whether I'm a crazy person, whether I'm crying, whether I'm sick, whether I'm healthy, and my ego is too big to get in through the door. There's always room. I always feel like I'm safe around Josh, and I feel like everybody deserves to have a Josh in their life. And I've been so fortunate to the people I've met and the places I've been and the things I've experienced. It balanced out way more in my favor.
Yeah, that's a great perspective.
It's just funny to carry these things around and go, yeah, there's some people out there that are still mad. And it's like kind of a joke. Like every time I see the name of the podcast, it's like, yeah, I'm never going to talk about that stuff though. But you know what?
There you go.
I had it years ago, the first time I wrote a blog, we were living in Maine and it was coming on close to Christmas and I was having trouble swallowing food. And I started writing a blog and the amount of support, the people that reached out. I had never mentioned the words abuse in my life. I was 29, something like that.
Late 20s, yep.
Late 20s, close to 30, when I started sharing that I had been abused as a kid and was still struggling with anxiety and depression and going to therapy and all that stuff. And the people that came out of the woodwork and said, I've been there too, that happened to me, and told me their stories, and I knew how to help back. Like, I had the skills and the compassion to hear it and to provide space. And so it went on for a long time. Like, I was sharing, that kind of became my personality for a while. And I was invited, like, I know I went and spoke at Augusta, at the Capitol in Maine, at an event they had up there. And there were, like, I had friends, I was teaching self-defense. And so I was connected to all the police officers and all the investigators and all the support staff at the sexual assault crisis centers all across Maine. And that was my group. That was my social network for a very long time in Maine. And so my whole life, my whole existence was about, I knew about abuse that was happening. I knew about cases that were open. I knew about, like, it was just my whole life. And I didn't want that to be my identity forever. And I know, like, I was not interested in working at a crisis center. And I did the training. I actually did the training. This is one of the places I got fired from. It was volunteer, and I was doing training to be a person that answers the phones at a crisis center.
Right. And
through the course of the training, there was, like, how to deal with somebody that calls in who is a perpetrator. And I couldn't. They were like, this is the script, this is the services you provide. And I was like, I have to talk to perpetrators? They would call a crisis center, and they were like, yeah, and you have to be open-minded. And I was like, no, I don't. No, I
don't think so.
I think as a rule, you probably need to be nice to people and all that stuff, but I'm not going anywhere where I'm required to be nice to perpetrators. Maybe that's part of my next evolution or whatever. But so I was asked to leave. I was told that I was not a good fit, and I was like, you're probably right, because this is so long, suckers, if this is what you guys do.
Yeah.
I couldn't get my head around it. Why am I talking about that? Why was I talking about that?
Because you didn't want that to be your identity.
Yeah, and there are people who are so great at that work and have the intestinal fortitude to deal with it. And I had babies, and we had our own stuff going on, and I couldn't stay in that mindset and be around all those abuse stories and be any kind of a mom. And so it had to be, for me, it kind of came to a crossroads of, like, you're either going to, it wasn't getting better. Like, the stories never stopped. It was constant. And so I was still teaching right up until I was pregnant with Henry, I think, the last time I taught. And I taught some classes when I came back here and stuff, but it wasn't my world anymore. And so anyway, I didn't want it to be my identity, but I remember the people that came out and told me their stories, and there was a lot of healing and it was really nice to provide that space. And I've kind of, like, you kind of get away from that stuff and you go, oh, I don't want to talk about that anymore. Ugh, yuck. I think it adds a lot of flavor to be able to use words like triggered.
Yeah.
It gets so overused and it becomes this washed out word, and it's like, but what if you are triggered? What word can you use instead? That's not as, you know what I mean? It's like a trendy word.
Yeah.
That gets overused.
Overused, for sure.
But then how do you know when somebody's actually
means it?
Not just I'm sure everybody that uses it means it, but like.
I think Sparky's ready for us to go get some of that meatloaf.
Yeah, I think he's done. So what are you going to do with this one, Maestro?
It's a heavy one. It's good though. That was fantastic. That's episode 19.
I don't know if I'm ready to be done. I think Sparky is just checking us out. I'm not ready to be done yet.
No?
I know. I want to keep going.
All right.
My favorite Ron Hines song is called Native Side. And you should go look it up. I'm sure it's on Spotify and all those places. Go look it up.
We'll put a link somewhere.
Yep. It's it's
appropriate.
The story we just told. And I don't know. I mean, it'd be nice to get to a day where there are none of those stories anymore. But I don't know.
Well, I'm proud of you.
That clip that we did, we're doing it's just not like the tourism ads. So, I mean, all jokes aside, Newfoundland is not like the tourism ads, and it can be a very hard place to be and to become. And you got to surround yourself with people who support you. And we couldn't be more isolated here. Like, we're literally on an island. I mean, there is 500,000 people here, but it's impossible to be more isolated than we are, because you have to get on, it's like a $1,400 boat trip to get off the island. And you can drive for, the boat only runs, the one that's half an hour away only runs in the summertime. The one that is further up, that's a 10-hour drive across some rugged landscape, is about $700, but you have to drive for 10 hours to get there. And that's the only way you're getting off the island. And then that's not even close to anything when you get on the other side. Or you can fly, which is also very, very expensive. And so it is a pretty isolating place. With the magic of the internet, you're connected to everywhere, but you can also, it is the most isolating. It's one of those places that it's such a beautiful place, and it's so great to be home, and it's so great to be here. And it's also like, you just can't bury your head in the sand and pretend, just because we're raising children who are going to go out into the world. And, I want them to be safe, and I want them to be happy more than anything else, but I want them to be safe. And so the conversations in our house, I'll never, ever forget. One of the instructors that I worked with, one of the rape aggression defense instructors, that I worked with, when I first had Henry, I was terrified. Absolutely terrified. Like, how am I going to keep this child safe? And her advice, Meg Hatch, she is the head of SARSM now in Maine. She said, the day that you can, when you're zippering up their onesie, dressing them for bed, that's when you start saying, this is your body.
Yep.
All of this is your body, and you're in charge of it. Yep. And I was like, no.
And I don't think our kids have ever had any question about that.
Nope. And the language was, it's not private parts. It's the top of your head to the tip of your toes is your private parts. Nobody gets to touch any part of your body without your permission.
Right.
And I was like, you can't say that to a child, because then you'd have to explain all these other things. And she was like, nope, that's how we raised empowered kids. And she was amazing. The fact that these people came into my life at such an important time, and I haven't talked to Meg. I mean, she listens to the podcast and she pays it, like, she follows the band, and she's been super supportive, but I haven't talked to her in years. I think her birthday was just the other day.
Oh, nice.
Her birthday's on St. Patrick's Day. But she has been a person that was in my life when I needed that exact information and that kind of support. And it's just amazing that people come into your life. I think the negative stuff also comes into your life exactly when you need it, because it's almost like a little flick to, like, I don't know. Because this was not the normal trajectory of my week. I was not planning on talking about any of this week, but here we are. So anyway, I hope it helped. And
so check out the, if you're in town, the Battery on April 3rd. Songwriter Circle. Anywhere you are, check out Mulberry Creek on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify. We're all over the place. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Google Podcasts. Leave a comment, follow, whatever. Thanks for listening and joining along.
I'm going to have to put a whole new category on the podcast.
What's that?
I have no idea. I have no idea how I'm going to do any... like what kind of description I'm going to put on it.
It's going to be seriously. Are you mad at me?
That was my, I put that on something the other day. Because it's like, it's supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be like, it's meant to be, these things happen to everybody. This is all universal stuff. And I think thinking beyond, like, the podcast has been doing really, really well, I think. Like, we've got great listeners. They're from literally all over, all the places we've been. But I think thinking beyond the shores of Newfoundland and who might get pissed off at me is my next step in, am I going to keep myself small for the rest of my life because someone's pissed off at me?
Yeah.
Like, where is that going to get me? How many, like, is there anyone out there that would have benefited from hearing this like 3 months ago or 6 years ago?
Right.
And I was afraid to talk about it? Like,
right.
I'm just tired of being afraid. Seriously, it's such a waste of time. And it's a choice, like, because the same stuff's going to happen whether you're afraid or not. You're not stopping anything. Right. So if you it just seems like it's better to just enjoy your life a little bit more.
That's true. Yeah.
And anyway, 100%. I'm sending it out across the waves, and we'll see what comes back to us. But I don't know. shocked anytime somebody's surprised by me telling something that happened in a dark room or in behind closed doors or in the privacy of a Facebook page. Like, anyone that hasn't Googled me, there must be some inkling.
Yeah.
There must be some inkling. Or maybe, I don't know. I'm really not good at keeping secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks for listening along.
Good luck picking the bones out of this one. Do you want to do something funny just to have a clip?
You want to do a little dance or something?
You want to play guitar?
We'll play us off. How's that?
Sure. Josh playing the deck of mine. I love it.
I'm Josh Morgan. This is Out of Tune.
Well, tune it. You tune because you care. Should I change the strings for next week? I should probably get a new set of strings for my guitar.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. And check out the little promo we did for Can't Stay Here on the Mulberry Creek TikTok. Is pretty funny.
Yeah.
You were pretty fun.
So are you.
I'm Vickie Morgan.
I'm Josh Morgan.
Thanks for listening.
We'll see you next week.